Every single year it feels like deja vu. Another Canadian Open, another Masters 1000, another list of superstars withdrawing from the event, and this time it's huge as world number one Jannik Sinner has withdrawn from the event. 24-time Grand Slam champion Novak Djokovic has withdrawn, and Carlos Alcaraz already out with a wrist injury. Three of the biggest names in men's tennis gone. And now the tournament organisers are openly admitting that tennis has a serious problem. Let's talk about why this keeps happening. That's right, and if you haven't done so yet, give us a like and subscribe to the channel. The Canadian Open, supposed to be one of the crown jewels of the ATP calendar. It's a Masters 1000, a mandatory for eligible players. It's over 140 years old, and it's the first major hardcourt event before the US Open. On paper, this event should be packed with the biggest stars. Instead, fans have become almost conditioned to expect withdrawals from the event. And this year, Sinner announced he was prioritizing his health after winning Wimbledon, while Djokovic continues to carefully manage his schedule at 39 years old. Tournament director Valerie Tretero admitted the organisers were very disappointed, especially because this is now becoming a recurring pattern rather than a one-off. So here's the key point. She simply didn't complain about these individual withdrawals. She questioned whether the ATP calendar itself is creating the problem. So let's be honest, can you really blame the players? Think about what the top players have just come through. Weeks on grass, a full Wimbledon campaign, traveling across the Atlantic, immediately into 2 weeks in a Masters 1000. That throws up the question, should they be 2 weeks? Should we cut them down to one? And then another Masters in Cincinnati. Then the US Open, obviously, that's a brutal stretch. So many big tournaments back to back. It's very, very difficult for professional tennis players, for sure. And the margins between winning Grand Slams and getting injured are very, very small. So if you're Jannik Sinner, do you really risk your body in Montreal? Or do you make sure you're 100% for the US Open? And you can see why so many other players, especially at the top level, are making the same decision. Here's what's interesting though. This isn't a brand new issue. The Canadian Open has regularly suffered with withdrawals over the years. Roger Federer himself has skipped multiple editions in his late career, and Rafael Nadal missed several due to injury. Djokovic, he has adjusted his North American schedule to protect his body, mainly in the later stages of his career, prioritizing the Grand Slams. And in 2025, Sinner, Djokovic, Jack Draper all withdrew before Toronto, while Carlos Alcaraz also missed the event. Now, we're on 1 year later, and it's happened again, except this time, the tournament director has publicly called for change. So what's changed? The answer may actually be the calendar itself. Several Masters 1000 tournaments have expanded into 12-day events. Sounds great for fans. More matches, more sessions, more tickets. But for the players, it means spending nearly 2 weeks at one event. Do that several times a season, and suddenly you're spending far more time traveling, recovering, and living out of hotels. Even Zverev has criticized how demanding the modern schedule has become. And then there's the timing. The Canadian Open, always an awkward place in the calendar, because you're asking players to fly from Europe, and they play immediately after Wimbledon, then either stay in North America for several weeks or fly home and back again. Some players simply decide, I'll skip Canada, play Cincinnati, then go straight to the US Open. From a preparation standpoint, it makes perfect sense. But of course, it creates huge problems for the tournament. Fans buy tickets months in advance, expecting to see the biggest stars in the world. Sponsors promote Sinner, they promote Djokovic, they promote Alcaraz. Then suddenly, none of them are there. It's nobody's fault individually, but collectively, it's damaging one of tennis's most historic tournaments. The irony, the Canadian Open has produced some brilliant champions. Djokovic won it 4 times. Murray won it there before becoming world number 1. Rafael Nadal has lifted the trophy, and Sinner himself won Toronto in 2023. And despite all that history, it feels like it's the Masters tournament that most players are willing to sacrifice. What's the solution, though? Should Masters events go back to 1 week? Tell me in the comments. Should ATP shorten the calendar? Should mandatory events become more flexible? Or is this simply the reality of modern tennis? Players are earning more. The schedule's longer, careers last longer. Protecting your body is more important now than ever before. One thing is certain, though. When tournament organisers themselves start publicly saying there's a serious problem, you know this conversation isn't going away. Because if the Canadian Open continues losing the biggest stars every summer, sooner or later something will have to change. Well, let's have a quick look at the players who are playing in the tournament. Zverev, the number 1 seed. Felix, the number 2. We got Shelton, number 3. We got Diminor as number 4. Fritz 5. Medvedev 6. Kaboli 7. Bublik 8. Ruud 9. And Andrei Rublev, number 10 there. And you can see a few other players down there. You've got João Fonseca. He might be able to draw a few players onto seats. But all in all, we're missing the big 3. And that's the big takeaway from this tournament, unfortunately. Last year, the director, speaking on it, said about Alcaraz and Sinner, they need to commit to the circuit and play these Masters 1000 tournaments. We've been talking with them, and they're very confident they'll be playing here in 2026. 2026, there will be 3 weeks between Wimbledon and our tournament. They'll have more time, but then ends up with Alcaraz, Sinner winning Wimbledon, and look where we are again. Djokovic withdraws. That's not a surprise because he's prioritising the slams. And unfortunately for the Canadian Open, its position in the calendar is essentially ruining their event. Cincinnati, they don't have the same problems, do they? But yeah, it's just it's an ongoing struggle, it seems, on the tour. So what do you think? Are the players making the right decision? Or should mandatory Masters 1000 events actually mean mandatory? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget, like, subscribe. Sorry if it's a little bit windy. I'm here. I'm in Portugal. I've been keeping up to date with Estoril. Don't worry, I'll bring you a podcast on that soon. But I'm just here on holiday at the moment. I'll catch up with you probably in the next few days. For now, see you on the next one.